welcome everyone to this evening's board meeting. This is the regular meeting of the Twinsburg Board of Education. It is Wednesday, August 2nd, and the time is 7:04. I would like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Davis? Mrs. Davis? How am I doing? I got this thing. I got the wrong way. I've got a different sheet. Mrs. Davis is here. Mr. Solera?
Here.
Mr. Curtis?
Here.
Mr. Felber? Here. Mrs. Terrell Waldron?
Here.
Okay, we're all here. Would you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. We'll move on to item D. Do we have any changes or addendums to the agenda as we have standing?
None this evening, thank you.
Okay, hearing none, we will move on to communications and the President's report. Good evening and welcome, community, staff, and administration. I'm Mark Curtis, and it is my privilege to be your board president. Where has the time gone? 2 weeks from today marks the beginning of another academic school year. I trust that our students and staff have had an opportunity for some much-needed rest and relaxation. And with batteries recharged, we look forward to embarking on a new journey with new academic programs and initiatives. Throughout this past school year, we've urged our residents and educators to provide feedback to the Ohio Department of Education as they released a draft of the planned compliance of the new federal Every Student Succeed Act. Initially, the Ohio Department of Education appeared not to take advantage of the flexibility of the new legislation afforded school districts throughout Ohio. However, due to continued public pushback, the plan was again revised. So the State Board of Education amended and approved the Ohio Department of Education's ESSA draft compliance document last month, and following a review by Governor Kasich, Ohio will submit its ESSA application to the U.S. Department of Education in September of 2017. I want to thank you for all of your continued vigilance in holding our state accountable and doing what's right for kids. We'll continue to do what's in the best interest of our district legislatively at the state level as well. And we only ask that the community continue to reach out to our elected officials and ask that they work to address the current disparities in funding that negatively impact our school district. This concludes my President's report, and I will now hand over to our Superintendent, Mrs. Powers.
Good evening, Mr. Curtis, members of the Board of Education, members of the community. It feels good to be back here in our home base. We've been at the high school over the summer months for our board meeting, and it's nice to be back here, and we thank Mayor Yates and the members of council for always allowing us to use council chambers for our board meetings. Board of Education, it's as if the school district is a sleeping giant just starting to wake up from a long winter's nap. And if you take a look around, you see that everywhere you look, we have students and staff members returning. A lot of our students have been busy with band camp or with our various athletic programs. Our parents are out helping our principals get ready in our buildings. Mr. Reese was tweeting today of pictures of some of his wonderful parents that are out helping him with bulletin boards. Teachers are coming back preparing their classrooms. So we're coming to life now, just about 2 weeks out from the beginning of another great school year. We want to thank the members of our staff for all the work behind the scenes this summer. There is so many things that happen during the summer. You know, when you think of a school district, you think of students and teachers and classrooms. But we are a very large organization, and it takes a lot of hands to make great things happen for our kids. And so we just want to thank our members of our custodial staff and maintenance staff that have worked really hard all summer. Our buildings look fantastic. Mr. Welker and I have been over at the high school, and it's shiny like a new penny, I have to tell you that much. And that's just not the high school. All 5 of our buildings look fantastic, and we're ready and happy to welcome back our kids on Wednesday, August 16th for another great year of learning. Our parents will be receiving the back-to-school mailer probably this weekend. The administrative assistants are compiling it. It takes a number of days when you're talking about 4,200 students. So moms and dads, you'll be getting our back-to-school mailer in the U.S. mail, hopefully by this coming Saturday. Inside that mailer, of course, is my back-to-school letter, some information that's important for you to know just about the school district in general. But each of our parent organizations have also put a flyer in the back-to-school mailer that talks a little bit about what they do to support our students and our teachers and our district. So look forward to a pretty hefty package of great information. And in addition to that, you will get a second mailer that will have our Power School registration SNAP code. Remember last year it was called InfoSnap. It was our new online program to register students or to provide information that used to be done on an EMED card, and it was called InfoSnap. Well, InfoSnap has changed names, and it's called the Power School registration. And again, you'll be receiving that SNAP code that you will need to be able to go into the system and input your students' information. In that letter, there are some phone numbers and contact information. If you have trouble accessing your children's information, just hop on to one of those phone numbers or through an email, and we have a lot of people that are happy to give any of our parents a hand in getting their students' information into our system. So that'll be out. Also, Board of Education, you know, our annual calendar that has a lot of financial information from last school year is at the printer, and that should be in our mailboxes also within the next week. It is just packed filled with great information about our school district. It's a look back to last school year. It's a look forward to the coming school year, and just a lot of great information that not only our parents but our residents, members of the community will want to have at their fingertips. Great information with all of the events that are on the calendar. Of course, always go to our district website for the most up-to-date calendar events. Things happen to change. I just said to Mr. Welker, I was watching all the kids running off the field here in the storm that's happening outside. And so we have to sometimes make adjustments to our calendar, weather-related or not. So you can always find the most up-to-date information on the district website, on the district calendar. This is a large weekend because you'll be seeing double. You know, this weekend is our Twins Day Festival, and this year's theme is the Twin Centennial, of course, because it's our community's bicentennial. And I just want to welcome all of our twins and multiples. Many of them come year after year after year. Mr. Welker and I are always driving the golf cart on Saturday morning for the parade, and it is so much fun to get to meet and greet. And we always compare who has the twins that come the farthest distance. So it's just something we'd like to do. Looking forward to Saturday morning and seeing the parade. And I hope our members of our community come out and visit up behind R.B. Chamberlain Middle School, the Twins Day Festival. It's just always a lot of fun. And we thank Mr. Miller and the members of the Twins Day Committee for just really making our community shine, not only in our community or the state. This is a national and an international event, and we're just very proud to be a part of that. And finally, I just want to thank all of the volunteers that really help make Twins Days happen. If it wasn't for our volunteers, many of them are our students who put in a lot of time parking cars and helping with directions and just meeting and greeting. The festival would never be a success. So thanks to all of our twins for coming, all of our multiples, our volunteers, the Twins Day Committee, and our residents for just coming out and supporting a wonderful community event. And finally, I know the kids already know this, but Wednesday, August 16th, the school bells will ring, and it'll be time to start another great school year. So we look forward to seeing our students. We've had a number of kids here doing summer intervention, and as I said, the athletic programs and our music programs, but we can hardly wait till the 16th when we see everyone come back for another great school year of learning. Mr. Curtis, that concludes my report for this evening.
All right, thank you very much. Next, move on to committee reports. Did we have any committees or any committee reports to?
Not a report, but policy did meet in a marathon session. So our fellow colleagues, besides myself and Ms. Davis, are going to now get a nice packet to review. We'll have first readings at the next meeting, and then, of course, subsequent second reading.
Exciting
So
stuff.
we're like August 16th. Is that where we're at?
Okay.
So lots for you guys to read.
Okay.
And then just for buildings and grounds, I know a lot of community members have seen our awesome new scoreboard out in Tiger Stadium, and that's coming soon, but it looks amazing. And our administrative team did a great job of getting that at no cost to the taxpayers. So, once again, I can't reiterate enough how much we appreciate the hard work you guys put in for that. So Kathy and Chad were able to go out and get corporate sponsorship for that particular project. And so once again, that came through, and it looks amazing. I can't wait to see it all lit up. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
Okay. Administrative reports.
Board of Education, we have two very exciting reports to share with you this evening. The first is actually going to be presented by two members of our teaching staff, Mr. Ryan Bonnetts, who is our Director of Bands, and Mr. Damon Kahn, who is our Orchestra Director. They have been working behind the scenes to build a proposal that I am just so delighted to bring to you this evening for your consideration. As you know, we are a school district that is very proud of our arts programs in addition to lots of other things. But it's because of the focus and the great dedication of Mr. Bonnetts and Mr. Kahn that our students continue to perform at the very highest levels. And because of that, there is now a need to make an adjustment to the manner in which orchestra and band is delivering instruction to some of our highest performing students. So this evening, our two directors are here to explain their proposal and to answer your questions for a hopeful approval this evening so we can begin some exciting instructional practices for some very talented musical students. Welcome.
Well, first off, Mrs. Powers, thank you so much for your nice words about our program. For those that don't know, I'm Ryan Bonnetts. I'm the Director of Bands for our district. My colleague and friend, Damon Kahn, the Director of Orchestras. The idea of what we've had as an honors ensemble option has been something that Damon and I have talked about probably very early on since I got here in 2013. We originally pitched an idea for an honors program for our top high-achieving students back in 2014, but we realized that we probably could put more time in and we could flesh it out a little bit more. Thank you. Next slide. So as I said, we've been speaking a lot about what can we do for our highest achieving students. Music and the study of instrumental music is something that is skill-based. It's something that takes a long-term commitment. Our students start in 5th grade for myself, in 4th grade for Mr. Kahn, and we're working with them to build their skills. By the time they get to high school, there's quite a bit of diverse levels that the children are able to get to. So what we are proposing is the idea to offer a consistent, standardized honors level option for all performing instrumental ensemble classes. So that would be our THS high school band as well as our THS high school orchestra. Next slide, please. The basic thrust of this proposal would be that this will just add an additional number of additional components on top of their existing curriculum. Mr. Kahn and I believe very strongly in what we do when we're forming our lesson plans, when we form what we're going to work on from concert to concert or from semester to semester. We make sure that we adhere to all of the state mandates and the various different things to enable that we're providing our kids with the best possible education. By adding these additional course requirements on top of the existing curriculum, it enables us to give credit and to acknowledge and help to push some of our highest achieving students. As in the case with all the other honors level courses at THS, such as honors English or honors math courses, we would see this class being weighted as a 4.5 level course. The hope is to provide an opportunity for more educational differentiation for our music students. Back one, please. Forward one, sorry. There we go. So as you see here, we have the additional course requirements. Okay, there we go. Voluntary participation in these groups, as I mentioned, it requires a strong commitment to music. Some of our students are very musically inclined. We have gifted students identified in our music programs. We have many kids that go off to pursue music in some way, shape, or form in college, whether as a minor or as a major, as a music performance major or as a future music educator like Mr. Kahn and myself are. as I mentioned before, it's a multiple-year commitment that we do feel would be, this would be a good way to honor them. We find that when we get to the high school level, students are in band or in orchestra for a variety of different reasons. For some of our kids, we can probably honestly state that those students, that's their main thing. They align themselves as being musicians at Twinsburg High School. Others are more diverse. We have student athletes. We have people that are in a various amount of academic clubs and extracurricular activities. We love that element of our program, and we are not looking to limit anybody. Quite the opposite. We find that a lot of times in our class, we're working on teaching towards the middle of the class to make sure that we can bring the level up, while our top achieving kids are going out and doing all these extra components that we bring to them as ways to challenge them, as ways to push them to stay engaged in music and to improve their overall musicality. Just like any other class, core class at the high school level or anywhere else, we're looking for an annual musical growth from each student, an AMG, if you will, for every year. And just like every other classroom, that varies. There might be a student that's right in the middle of the pack in terms of achievement for their grade level, and we're looking for them to get up to that next level. We have other students that maybe are struggling, and we have different tactics to help to bring them up to a satisfactory level year by year, so they're making progress. And this would just be an extension of that for our higher achieving students. The growth is different for each of these students, and the stratification of their abilities. You have to remember that our high school ensembles are 9th grade through 12th grade, so already you have vast age difference, a 4 to 5 year age difference between the students, plus the different commitment levels, plus when they started in the program. We get kids of all ability levels, and we're trying to accommodate all of them equally. As such, we are proposing this for our top students so that they have an avenue to be recognized for their the things that they've already done to improve themselves as musicians and as students, and also find a way to more consistently move those kids towards the correct things to study so that they are getting the right level of education at every grade level, despite their differing music abilities. The other thing that I think is one of the best parts about this is in our time working on the program, we realized that we won't need any additional materials for this. We're not asking for new books or new music or new supplies. Everything that we would generate would be between Mr. Khan and myself in terms of the different curricular aspects that we're going to talk about later. So that zero-cost element, I think, is a really nice thing. It's something that a lot of other districts have, some in our area, some around. And as we look to try to be the best programs that we can be, I think it's something that's crucial for us at this time of the year. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Khan to talk a little bit about the scheduling component that will go in with it.
Again, as Mr. Bonnet said, this is something we've been talking about for a long time, and we've put a lot of thought into for our high-achieving students. A lot of these things our students have been doing already. We just wanted to come up with something to recognize these students and reward them. And part of that is with scheduling this, they would schedule it just like any other class. They would be given the option to register the course each year in the course guide, just as with the current practice. And then students would be able to be subjected to the same drop deadlines as any other course offered in Twinsburg High School. And one thing that's going to have to be considered, and we realize, is that we're going to have to meet with these students one-on-one to discuss whether or not this is the best option for that student. This is not something that's going to be for the middle standard of the orchestra or band student. This is going to be our upper echelons. And it's something that we're going to have to talk one-on-one with those students and the parents before students are going to be committing to such a rigorous honors program. And again, this is in continuation to their normal orchestra and band curriculum up and beyond. And so a decision to enroll in the class must be approved, obviously, by the director and by the parents. We'll probably in the spring, just as when we are registering for classes, we'll have students who will be able to sign up for the honors program. But with exception of this year, we're going to allow students to opt in, obviously, at the beginning of the school year in the fall, since we're going to be hopefully implementing this school year. We're going to have different requirements. There is going to be a performance requirement and a scholarly requirement. Some of the honors ensemble requirements, some of them we already have built in our programs. Some of them are up and above and beyond. Honors band and honors orchestra requires both semesters, obviously a whole school year. The course requirements, again, are in addition to what we already have, and the credit will be based on a point system. Our alignment with specific rubrics and standard assessment techniques will be used to assess our students who are enrolled in any of our honors ensembles. Progress towards this goal will be quantified at the end of each semester, and we'll have, we'll have rubrics and standardized sheets for the students and teacher to fill out. There's multiple ways to earn these points of filling the honors ensemble requirements. They're not limited to supplemental involvement in extra musical activities. Some of these activities will include, like what we already have. We have chamber ensemble and orchestra. Mr. Bonnet has his jazz band, and so we do have extra ensembles. We have a GE band. Those are things that the students will be able to get credit for and points for, as well as doing extra things like private study outside with a private music instructor on their instrument, and also our Ohio Music Educators Association ensemble honors groups as All-State Orchestra, All-State Band, and Region Band and Region Orchestra. Students will need to earn a specific amount of points each semester, earn a credit, and some of those points, again, will come from the performance side of things. Some of those credits will come from the scholarly points, and I'll have Mr. Bonds talk to you about the scholarly points. The points, again, are going to be between those two components, and both designed to encourage musical growth, increase knowledge, and foster an even greater appreciation for the music. And again, here is a example of our point system. It's going to be based on whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. And as you see each year as we progress, there's going to be a little bit more required of the students. With that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Bonds to explain it a little further.
As Mr. Kahn has stated, we decided to segment these out into two different categories. And one of the things that we talked about a lot while we were formulating this is we wanted to make sure that there was a fair amount of ways to earn these points, both through purely curricular in-the-day school activities, in addition to all the other things that some of these students do. We didn't want to set up a program where it was, I almost hate to use the term, but pay to earn the credit, as in, if students sign up for these X number of outside the school activities, that automatically equals credit. We took a lot of care to try to balance those so that the financial component was not an element. If they couldn't, for instance, take private lesson study on a regular basis, like we'll talk about, there's other ways to make up those points so that we're not leaving students out who are qualified for this. So as you can see, we tabulate these points up each semester, and we are looking for, at the end of the year, for freshmen and sophomores, 11 performance points, 10 scholarly points, and then by the time of juniors and seniors, the levels will go up 14 performance points as well as 13 scholarly points. Talking about some of the performance points, Damon already mentioned a few of them. These are not all of them, but these are just a few elements. One of the big things that we do a lot is an annual event in the winter, around February, is District 6 OMEA Solo and Ensemble. That's an outside event. It actually starts in junior high. It gives the students a chance to prepare a musical selection. It's designed to push them as a musician, and they get direct one-to-one feedback. As a result of that, it's something that I know that we stress as many of our kids to do as possible, and we have really great returns with that. As Damon mentioned, we have our THS ensemble participation between all the different extracurricular groups that we have. There are a few options to earn points there. Independent performance projects, I think of those more as performing outside of the community. maybe composition in a way that allows you to perform with a different group. Those would all be subject to approval beforehand. So just playing the fight song for your parents might not qualify as an independent performance opportunity. So we will be cautious with how we decide to upfront those points. As I said, we have a lot of students that aspire to be musicians, either as just keeping it as something that's part of their life and when they go to college and beyond, or as their actual profession. So there's a variety of honors ensembles that come up all through the year, usually hosted through universities or through the county, also through our OMEA group. So you can earn points by preparing auditions for those. Students that do those are usually our highest achieving students anyway. Those are the ones that know that they have to work even harder to get into some of these other groups. We could award performance points for people that have already proven to do well in our ensembles, people that sit in the lead seat, the principal player, or section leader seat. As your junior and senior, the opportunity to prepare your college audition, that's a huge part for musicians. That's a big thing. And then also, as Damon mentioned, the all-state orchestra band or jazz band groups. Those are the most select groups that we have. We have had all-state orchestra members the last 3 years. And we recently had a student who we both shared, Dylan Bretz, who just graduated, who was an all-state jazz band participant last year, which was a big honor for the both of us and for him and his family. Moving over, we'll talk briefly about the scholarly point options, and then that's basically it. We'll turn it over for any questions that you guys have.
For the scholarly point options, again, we have some private lessons from an approved instructor that's approved from myself or Mr. Bonnet's, enrollment and completion of our AP Music Theory class that Mr. Bonnet's teaches at the high school, participation in College Music Day. Most every colleges and universities that have a music program, they have a day where they have they'll allow students to come out and do a trial audition, but they also have the actual real deal to where they come out and do those days. So we're going to actually have students use that as an option, and also participation in summer music camps. Some of the other scholarly points can be earned through completion of many scholarly projects that are related to music. Some examples include a performance review. They could go to a community performance or right in our own backyard, the Cleveland Orchestra, and do a review of that concert. An album review related to the student's instrument or ensemble, and with technology today, many of those students can access that on YouTube. So that's a pretty good one. TED Talks or comparable lecture on music. Again, there's lots and lots of those. Research project, obviously, that would be a topic approval by myself or Mr. Bonnet's. Also, further research musical opportunities provided at a prospective college or university that they may attend. Our proposed submission dates and deadlines, we're looking at Wednesday, August 23rd, to have our signed honors ensemble registration forms due. October 13th to the October 13th, first quarter documentation due, which we will expect from the students, and then December 15th, second quarter documentation due. March 9th, third quarter. May 1st, senior honors ensemble documentation due, and May 11th would be our fourth quarter documentation, with all verification of points and points will be submitted at that time.
And all those dates are prior to the quarter itself closing, giving us enough time to tabulate the points and make sure that students who are receive or potentially not receive credit, all just align with our calendar. One final thing, too, with all of the scholarly and performance points, a lot of the info and the specificity of the specific nature of it, we're not including in the PowerPoint for the sake of brevity, but we would have rubrics for all of those so that it's not just write an essay. There'll be requirements for sourcing, anything like that. We do want to make it as scholarly and as documented as possible.
Right, and this being a pilot year, this would be definitely a year for us to evaluate it and then reevaluate it again in the spring and see if there's any tweaking or any revisions that need to be made. So thank you guys so much for your time. If there's any questions at this time, we'd be glad to take them. Mr. Feldman?
Thank you. Very well thought out program. This is open to all freshmen, sophomores,
Correct.
juniors, seniors. Maybe a question for you, or maybe for Jen. For juniors or seniors, is there a multiple year requirement to have an honors diploma, or is that not part of this? If you know, so if they're a senior,
I suppose not.
okay, because you would need, like, I'm thinking like foreign language, you need multiple years.
This is not part of the Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be year to year.
Okay, so it wouldn't be part of a multiple year honors. Okay. Got it. Okay.
At the same time, we would hope that, our highest achieving students would buy into this type of program. And as the years go, we were able to expand it and provide more opportunities. So those students, there might be freshmen this year that might be interested in this program. And I know a few off the top of my head that would be great for it in both the programs. We would hope that we can grow this program as they grow through the years to provide more options for them, so they don't feel like, okay, I did these assignments last year. And I need to do
That was the other thought, yeah.
Yes.
I think this is going to be exceptional for the kids, because what I'm looking at and seeing and hearing is through all these extra requirements and projects, it's not just extra busy work on top of what they have. It's going to promote growth in that area, in the area of music. And if the students who are going out for this are going to be committed to all these requirements and extra commitments, I think you're going to weed through some of the most serious students and who are going to achieve because they're already committed to the art. And I think it's just going to you might start off with a lot of kids interested, and it might come to a select few. But I think it's going to be a great program.
And thank you. And that is the hope too. We're not looking to cast a wide net.
Right.
This is for a small targeted group of students that we feel could really benefit from this and from the structure that this type of program provides versus having the students go on their own. We always encourage that anyway,
Yeah.
to have it be planned out and implemented, and we kind of force what they're choosing to work on and what they invest their time in. I think would be really meaningful for those students. I think we'd be able to have.
And I had a couple. Are we done, Tina? I'm sorry.
I know, I think so. I agree.
Okay. So are they able to do both ensemble and band? I mean, are they able to do multiple?
The way this would work, or at least the way that we presented to Mrs. Farthing is...
Mr. Bonnets, if you could talk into the microphone so it's recorded, they can actually hear you.
My fault.
Thank you.
The hope would be that, nothing changes with their schedule. They're still sitting in the same seat that they would if they're in regular band. They just have an additional set of requirements. So what we're doing in the day is consistent with what they would have gotten already. There'll be opportunities to add other elements of the honors component into it, but really we see it as potentially they might just be in a separate grade book opposed to those students that are in the regular class. But they're not going to be in a different classroom at a different
It's
time.
one grade, though, right?
I'm sorry.
One grade?
One grade.
Yes,
though.
yes.
Okay, because that's what I was trying to understand, whether they would get two. If they
No,
got two
no.
A's, then that could really.
No, I see what you're saying. No,
Yeah.
they would not be in the regular concert band or whatever. They would be in the honors band option.
So it's one. Yeah. So
So
one.
it's just weighted
Weighted
heavier
built
like
on the honors.
an honor.
Yes,
Got it.
And they would not be able to, as you said, have a 4.5 class, and then also their 4-point class. It would just be the one course that they sign up
It's like
for.
English or honors English.
Right. Right.
Mm.
Okay.
I just want to, I'm sorry. You have
No,
more?
and
Okay.
I guess I just will add that I think it's a great program. I think anytime you can take a student and challenge them to the next level, I think that's exactly what we need to be doing in every aspect. So thank you for doing that in our arts department. I think that's it'll be a great addition.
Thank you.
I think waiting was your best choice. I think what you have put together today and what when we saw this, come out with board notes last week, it's fantastic. And I appreciate the thought and the effort that you put into this and recognizing that, we have some very, very talented folks in this district. I mean, in all aspects, but, musically and the talent that I've seen in just the various concerts and the things that these kids that you see at the concerts, and then they're also performing, at library things or at the bicentennial or different things. There's a very
quality group of musicians in this, and I appreciate you recognizing the fact that you don't want to lose them by, you want to give them the opportunity, and what you're doing is giving them an opportunity within our walls to encourage their growth, and I appreciate that. I think it's a very well thought out program. I thank you for working together with this, and again, being able to provide it in the same day that we're in the same structure that we have, with no additional cost, and allowing these kids to grow. I appreciate that. The opportunities that you guys are providing these kids is fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll echo my board colleagues. It's a great opportunity for our students, but I live in this world, and so a lot of the words I heard, I love hearing differentiation. I love hearing alignment. I love hearing rubrics. Increased rigor, which is really important. And I think that increasing rigor is pretty consistent with what we've been doing across the curriculum. And I think that it's really important that also extend to the arts program as well. One of the other things that I wanted to note is that there tends to be, usually when kids are leaving RBC and then going to the high school, for some reason there's always kind of a drop-off with respect to participation. And sometimes the students who are higher performing academically will choose a different path in anticipation of going to college, and so they want to make sure that they're beefing up their transcript and with an eye on college, and they want the highest possible grade point average. And so I think that now seeing that there's an opportunity that they can remain in band and still achieve a higher grade point average by way of staying in the program, which they may have been inclined, which they may have wanted to do, but this option wasn't available to them prior, so they went off in other directions so that they could get that academic boost. Well, now they have an opportunity that they can stay in band, and get that boost. You guys have, again, obviously put a lot of thought and effort into making this a reality, and I think that down the road, I'm hoping to see more participation with students who otherwise wouldn't have participated in the program. But more importantly, again, this is pretty consistent with where we've been going as a school district, and so thanks a lot for all your work.
Thank you. I do appreciate your point about that, especially. It would be disingenuous to say that element of wanting our students to do everything they can to set themselves up for college. That's what we want for these kids too. And I do know, and I know Damien can attest, we've had students that have had to make that hard choice. And I am of the mindset that I'm not sure that they need to make that choice, because we can provide that same rigor in our classroom to provide that same worth that they feel, so they can essentially have their cake and eat it too. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because that has been something that I thought of while we were spending time putting this together.
Excellent.
Mr. Bonnets and Mr. Kahn, it's your passion about what you do here that really is the driving force behind successful students. So, Board of Education, they came to me and they said, we have this idea, will you listen? And we listened, and Mrs. Farthing and Mrs. Turingo asked questions, and they went back to the drawing board and sort of updated drafts until they got to a point that we think this is just a fantastic opportunity for some excellent students. So thank you for your passion, and it's contagious, because I see the performances and I see the passion that our students have, and that doesn't happen alone. It happens because of two excellent educators such as yourselves and the other music educators in our school district, as well as the parents. Mr. Rapkin and our band boosters, Mrs. Stork and the orchestra boosters, the driving force behind what we can do in our music programs. So thank you so very much.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Board of Education, we're going to switch gears here a little bit, going from the arts to technology. And I want to apologize to the board. This is going to be the second time you have seen this particular presentation. But community, we believe this to be a very exciting initiative that we're going to be rolling out this school year. Board of Education actually heard this presentation back in June when the meeting was held over at the high school building. And because of the importance to our students and our staff and the relevance to education in the 21st century, we felt the need to once again ask Mrs. Farthing, Mr. McGing, and for the first time introducing to you this evening our new Supervisor of Innovative Programs, Mrs. Beth Mariola, our Chromebook initiative, which will begin to roll out at Twinsburg High School this year. Good evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers, and good evening, Board of Education. I'd like to first thank each and every one of you for this opportunity to have this new role and be a part of this initiative. I'm so excited to be a part of this process and to welcome back students and staff just in 2 weeks. With that, we'd like to give you, once again, the overarching elements of the Chromebook initiative and what it has to offer. As educators, when we make decisions and we think about initiatives, we always keep our students at the center and at the forefront of our decision making. With that, we have to consider our students as 21st century learners. As 21st century learners, they are innovators, they are collaborators, they are digital communicators, and they have always had technology and information readily available at their fingertips. So gone are the days of the card catalog, and we are moving into the Chromebook initiative. With that, thank you. When students and staff receive their Chromebooks, the Chromebooks will be loaded with Google Chrome and the G Suite for education. And this is the same product as it's always been for Google, which was formerly called Google Apps for Education, but is now known as G Suite. So same product, same applications, just has a different brand name. And within that product, we have Gmail, Calendar, Google Classroom, and all the various other elements within Google Docs. So this will be the platform and the means for learning and helping to support the collaborative classroom going forward.
Good evening, Board of Education. As you're aware, we spent the 2016-2017 school year doing our research. We enacted the Technology Planning Committee. That committee had subgroups that worked on things like professional development, curriculum, online tools, and our guidelines. Additionally, we probably learned the most from our conversations that we had with our colleagues in local districts, including Nordonia, Hudson, Chagrin Falls, and Woodbridge. We were able to learn from them, from someone who's been there and done that, and we were talking to them about the different things that they experienced with their rollout and their devices that they actually purchased, the professional development that they felt that they needed. So that was what we did for the 2016-17 school year. And as we have worked through that planning year, we realized that the year prior to our student devices, we would like to see our teachers have devices in their hands. So that will allow our teachers to feel more comfortable with the devices. And then also in the year prior to our rollout, we will be focusing on professional development, as Mrs. Mariola just discussed. And when we talk about professional development, we look at phase one on actually teaching the tools. And then when we talk about professional development in phase two, we're talking about how and why instruction changes, because life is a lot different when all the students have a device in their hand. So we need to be ready for that and have our teachers prepared for that.
Good evening, everyone. As Jennifer said, when we spoke to our districts, we did learn a lot of information, what works, what doesn't work. But going forward, we learned a lot about how long Chromebooks are lasting for. So beginning, our teachers will be on a 5-year replacement cycle. And then also our students, due to the nature of the Chromebooks being more mobile and moving around, a 4-year cycle is pretty much where we're going to be at on that. So starting year one, we're going to be starting with administrators, teachers, and technology staff. And then later in the year, starting in January, we're going to roll out to our first students, which will be 9th and 10th grade. So at the beginning of year two, RBC teachers will be receiving their Chromebooks and getting providing their professional development. And then also the remaining grades 9 and 12 at the high school will receive their Chromebooks at the beginning of the year. This will make the high school, each every grade, every student will have a Chromebook at that time. So fiscal year 2020, which is year 3, Dodge teachers will receive Chromebooks. And also the one-to-one, we're going to roll out a one-to-one classroom cart model for Chromebooks at RBC for grades 7 and 8. Year 4, again, we're going to do Bissell and Wilcox teachers of that year in the beginning of the year, and then going into again in fall, we're going to do 2-to-1 classroom cart model for Dodge grades 4, 5, and 6. So year 5, again, 2-to-1 classroom cart model Chromebooks for Bissell's grades 2 and 3, and then also 2-to-1 for pre-K through 1 for Wilcox Elementary or primary. And then this, at this point, we're already going to be at our first replacement cycle, starting again with 1-to-1 student Chromebooks for grades 9 and 10. With any large project and a large amount of devices, we need to be able to manage them and provide some security and some safety measures. So we selected GoGuardian admin management software for our Chromebooks. Basically, this is going to provide 24/7 off and on-campus content filtering. So this will align with our current filtering that we do have in place inside the high school. And also, it complies with SIPA and COPA mandates also about protecting our students on the internet. Also, this will assist us in asset recovery. If there's a lost or stolen or misplaced one, we could turn on a tracker on there and pinpoint a location for that. So that will help us keep track of our devices and make sure everybody has their device and keeping them safe. Also, smart alert notifications, we could set up different parameters in there. So if there's something, a list of words that's concerning, that could be, emailed or to our administrative team for that building, if to check out maybe what's going on, with that student. Also, the Management Council provides our device and policy and application management for all the apps that we'll be pushing out, for each grade level.
And then the cycle begins again. So in FY 2023, which would be year 6 of the plan, we would be in our totally in replacement cycle, starting with administrators, high school teachers, and the technology department, and then also that grades 9 and 12 at the high school for the 1-to-1. And then in FY 2024, year 7, RBC teachers, and then continuing on the 1-to-1 classroom cart model for RBC, 7th and 8th. When we talk about the cart model, when we look into the pricing, we did include replacement of carts, but we just don't know if we will actually need those carts at that time. Obviously, 2024 seems a long way away. And we don't know, the carts should be in fine shape because they'll be in a classroom and they shouldn't need replaced, but who knows what the technology is really going to look like at that point in time. So, but we budgeted for that. And then 2025, year 8, Dodge teachers, and then our 2-to-1 classroom cart model at Dodge. 2026, year 9, would be the teachers K-3, the classroom cart model at Wilcox and Bissell. And then we're back, this will be the 3rd replacement for grades 9 and 10, is the 1-to-1. And then also then in year 10, 2027, is grades 9 and 12. Included in your presentation are our figures, again, based on costs now. We are hoping that Chromebooks are going to be free by that point in time. It's 2027, but we're not really sure. But think about how the pricing has changed on everything. So, but this is based on pricing at this point in time. So it is broken down for the first 5 years and then the second 5 years. I think we answered a lot of questions last time, but does anyone have any questions for us?
I had a question, but with your review of the different districts, any surprises, aha moments of, oh, let's not do what that district did, or let's do what that? I'm just, because you guys did I know you did, and we've heard this presentation before, but any?
I think the biggest thing they learned was with the rollouts and just some of the different methods that they did it on. Timelines. Some people had way too long of periods of time. Some people had too short of times, and then there were all these people there at one point in time. And we will, with going with January, we will have the school year to get that figured out, and then we can have our parent meetings scheduled. And I think not trying to get it happening in August should help us, and then we'll learn. And then when we do it in August for the next rollout, we should have learned a lot from our mistakes. And one of the things we'll be purchasing is white glove service. So the models will come to us tagged, and they come ready for our network, and they're named, and they're configured for everything. So when we get them, we'll scan the asset tag and the barcode, and we have that all ready for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, but a couple of comments. I serve on the CVCC board, and we actually did a similar rollout about a little over a year ago. And I really can appreciate all of the research that you guys have done and kind of visited other districts to kind of anticipate what pitfalls might exist. I appreciate the thought behind that. But two, this represents a pretty significant paradigm shift instructionally for a lot of our teachers. When you talk about 21st century learning, it encapsulates a lot, but the bottom line is that instructional practice has changed in a very significant way over the years. And so that, coupled with the amount of change that's been thrown at our teachers with respect to changing legislation at the state and federal level, it can almost be looked at as burdensome, if you will. But the fact of the matter is, technology is a part of our everyday life. And so the learning curve probably is more steep with the adults than it is with the students, because students have grown up in this world, and the adults are the ones that have to adapt. So I really do appreciate the thought and time that you're taking with respect to how you're rolling this out and making sure that there's good professional development so that maybe we can bring down some of the anxiety that may exist for some of our classroom teachers because they've been used to doing things a certain way for a very long time, and this has changed. And again, it's a necessity in terms of where we're moving. Not only where the district is moving, it's where the world is moving. So if we don't move in that way, then the world kind of leaves us behind, and we don't want to do our students a disservice with respect to making sure that they have access to the technology that they need to, and so they need to be able to. The instruction needs to be at the same level of where they are, with respect to accessing technology. So, I appreciate the thought behind it. I think that there's always being prepared for the unexpected because it's technology. But you do as much as you can to prepare for anything that you might anticipate, and doing the research behind that as well. So thanks a lot for your efforts.
Thank you. We're excited.
Board of Education, I want to commend the three administrators here. They have done a yeoman's job behind the scenes, just pulling together and repricing, and Matt, and your negotiating skills with Chad's assistance and getting the very best deal for the technology rollout it's just remarkable what has happened. The other thing I want to commend are the parents that were part of our technology planning committee. They have made us better as a school district. We talked to lots and lots of school districts who have rollouts of Chromebook initiatives. But our parents have, this is personal to them, and they've raised a lot of great questions, student privacy, online tools, all kinds of things. And because of their participation on our committee, we have been able to become more educated in these things and are pretty confident in our rollout now. I do want to invite our parents, as this thing gets underway, please let us know if there are questions, if you have a concern about this initiative, If you want to talk about something that you've read on the internet, something is interesting or you're curious, Mrs. Mariola is the face of our Chromebook initiative, and we're so happy that she has assumed this new role. But of course, Mrs. Farthing and Mr. McGing are partners with her, as well as our technology department in general. So if there are questions, please, moms and dads, please make a phone call, send an email. We would rather address the concerns or questions that you have on the front end, because it makes us better as an organization moving forward. So we just wanted to put that out so everybody hears, and we're just super excited. And I know the high school staff can hardly wait to get started.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next on the agenda is remonstrance, and we do have a blue card. So since we do, I will read the remonstrance statement in preparation for hearing the remarks. Persons wishing to address the Board of Education should submit a blue card found in the lobby to the treasurer prior to the meeting so that they may be recognized by the board president and welcome to make a comment. No formal action will be taken on subjects that are not included on this agenda until the board has had an opportunity to study them. Comments regarding personnel must be submitted in writing through the office of the superintendent. Although there is normally adequate time for citizens to express themselves at a board meeting, if several people wish to speak, each person will be allotted 5 minutes until the total time of 30 minutes is used. Each person addressing the board is asked to give his or her name and address. So we have a blue card from Laura Golnick.
You want to come up to the podium?
Come on up to the podium.
Come on down.
Hello, good evening. My name is Laura, and I am, of course, a resident, and I do have 2 children in the district, a 5th grader and a 10th grader. And I've also had the opportunity to sub as an instructional assistant in the schools. I prefer to stay down at Wilcox and Bissell, just a little bit more my area. And in addition to that, I do work part-time at a law firm, so that's what gives me the flexibility to, when I'm not working at the firm, I can just pick up a little bit of time and go and see what's going on with the schools. But what I'd like to propose to the school board and the families here is to introduce a therapy dog to the schools. I've had the opportunity to be with some children who might be having a moment or an issue or some anxiety or stress in the situation at the school. And I think a dog would be a great way to help relieve that stress, help soothe them, help to just bring them down. Dogs are very comforting. I don't know how many of you have animals, but I started to do a little bit of research probably about a month ago when I was taking my dad to the doctor at the Cleveland Clinic, and there were therapy dogs all over the place. And I just thought, wow, this is kind of interesting. So I love my dog, and she's a golden doodle. She's 5 years old. Her name is Stella, and I thought, well, maybe I could do something like this. Plus, my husband works at the clinic, and I thought, well, maybe he can give me a little leadway on what I would need to do. So started doing some research, started looking up all these research papers and theses, and oh my goodness, what happened in the Cleveland Plain Dealer? Stowe Monroe Falls just introduced a therapy dog to their school system. Kent State has therapy dogs. And then I started digging a little bit further. And in the meantime, I started to take my dog. We're enrolled in a 12-week program for her to become a therapy dog. And then I started thinking, well, this could be a great way for my dog and I to come to schools and be with the children. There's a lot of studies out there. I can give you, handouts. I didn't know how many to bring or if that would even be, with my little 5 minutes. But, there's a lot going on at these schools, and these kids, it could really help them. I know for me, it's very rewarding to come home and be there with a dog. But I think if a student is having a moment, you can redirect them in a different area and help soothe them. I know some children have a hard time reading. Think about it. My daughter reads to our dog because my dog she doesn't judge, what's going on when she's being read to by her. Nobody's helping to help her with the words, if she's having a problem or when she's struggling. We go to the Twinsburg Library a lot of times and we see the therapy dogs that are there. So they're all around. There is a difference, I'm sure between a therapy dog and a service dog. This will also teach children, responsibility, enhance their social skills. There's so much here. I don't know where you can let me go with it, but I just think that it would be very innovative for the district to get maybe on that program. I'll be done with my training in a little bit. I'm sure you have to interview quite a few people. I've looked that you have to, of course, get parents to sign off on paperwork. I have a hypoallergenic dog. She's a doodle, so there's no shedding there. I could just see myself walking in the schools, helping these children. If there's a behavioral issue, that might just be able to help them at that moment. Of course, they would need to find out where the need is, at what schools, where it could be of any of assistance and help, and just trying to bring our children to a comfort level at the whatever area. So I don't know. I don't know what else to do now. I say my speech and you do your thing, and where does it go from there? I've never been to a meeting before, so I just thought I would throw my idea out there, and then you all let me know what happens.
Mr. Curtis, it's interesting, and I'm not making this up. Earlier today, Mrs. Johnson and I had a conversation about therapy dogs.
Oh, seriously, really?
Yeah, so it's just fascinating that you came this evening to the board meeting. Currently, Board of Education, you have a policy about service dogs, and we, on occasion, have usually a student with disabilities who would have a service dog that we would permit on school property. We don't have a policy on therapy dogs, and that would be something the board would need to consider, and we would have to have language, because there are children who may be afraid of dogs, and there are certain care that has to be given to dogs if they were on school property. Board of Education, we could always do some research and provide that to you for further consideration. Mrs. Golnick, I'd love to have a conversation with you. You sound very enthusiastic about a sort of a really innovative approach to bringing some resources into our buildings that might be beneficial to our children. But I'm just fascinated, and you're not related, the conversations are totally not related, but Mrs. Johnson and I talked about this very topic earlier this morning.
A lot of schools, because of, with the thesis that I got and a lot of the information, ever since the incident with Sandy Hook, this has been very comforting for a lot of children. And I don't know what goes on in a lot of other households, but I know that, when I've seen a situation, I'm not an educator by any means, so everything I've learned when I'm at the school is from everybody else, but I could just vision myself, hopefully, if I would be the person that would be selected with my wonderful dog, to help a child, to get them out of that moment and redirect them, so that they don't feel that, the world's closing in on them. I don't know everybody's situation. I don't want to know it, but, there's just so many different ways that everybody handles stress, and, just being able to make it a very pleasant experience for everyone at hand. So again, if you want, I left my number, I have a lot of information here. We can take it off, and talk another time, but I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We don't have any more cards, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item H, Treasurer's Report. H1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following meeting minutes: a regular meeting of July 12th, 2017, and a special meeting of July 20th, 2017, as sent to the board under separate cover. Do I have a motion to approve H1?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Salura. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Turl-Waldron. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Salura?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl-Waldron?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. Okay, H1 passes 5-0. Moving on to action items. Without objection from my colleagues, I will read items I1 through 3 all together.
I would like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss employment.
We have a motion on the floor to enter into executive session to discuss employment. Do I have a second?
guess, I'll just reiterate, based upon information that, information received, I think it would be appropriate to go into executive session.
Motion's on the floor. We don't have a second. We'll be entering into executive session. I-1. Resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. 2, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And 3, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibits as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. Do I have a motion to accept items I-1 through 3? So moved by Mr. Felber. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Solura. Discussion.
Mr. Curtis, if I could introduce my recommendation for assistant principal at George G. Dodge Intermediate School. She's joined us this evening. Mrs. Walker, if you can come forward so the community can see you for the first time. This is Julianne Walker, and I am delighted to introduce Mrs. Walker to you as Mrs. Mariola's replacement at George G. Dodge Intermediate School. Mrs. Walker comes to us from the Bedford City School District, where she is most recently been assigned as a data instructional coach, which means that she didn't have classroom responsibilities. She was working most directly with the teachers, analyzing performance data, analyzing state performance data, student performance data, building and district data, and then helping coach teachers understanding the tweaks they needed to make to instruction in order to improve the achievement of children. So she has done a lot of work with the data analysis piece, which Board of Education, that is a big thing here in our school district. I think in any school district in current society, we pay attention to the data because we know through the data we can make some great decisions for kids. Before that, she was a classroom teacher at Carrollwood Intermediate School in the Bedford City School District. And as I mentioned to you in my notes to you, we actually crossed paths way back in the day when I was an elementary principal in Maple Heights at Stafford Elementary School. Mrs. Walker was one of my elementary primary school teachers. So it's been kind of nice to reconnect through the interview process. Mr. Holland and Mrs. Huggins, members of the staff from the intermediate school here, as well as Mrs. McKinney, Mrs. Trapphagen, and Mrs. Farthing have all been involved in the interview process, and I am delighted to introduce to you our recommendation this evening. Mrs. Julianne Walker, do you want to say a few words?
I would just like to I'd just like to thank this opportunity to come and meet the board, and I'm thrilled and honored to be the candidate for the assistant principal at Dodge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then secondly, Board of Education, I want to ask Brittany Wortman to come forward. Board of Education, as you know from my notes to you, Brittany has been a candidate from last September for a continuing contract. And the way her coursework was scheduled at the university, she did not complete her master's degree until the summer months. That does not disqualify her for a continuing contract, and so I'm just delighted to present to you our last candidate for a continuing contract from the 16-17 school year. Brittany was most recently an intervention specialist at Samuel Bissell Elementary School. This year she joins the staff at R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. Mr. Reese can hardly wait for you to get started there. And it is my delight to recommend her for a continuing contract here in the school district. Did you want to say something?
I thank you for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to bringing forth what I've learned in curriculum and instruction, as our focus has been on 21st century learning and promoting positive social change. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Any more discussion, any more comments? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mr. Salura?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. That item passes 5-0. Congratulations to the both of you. Okay, moving on to items J1 through 14. So without objection from my colleagues, I will read items J1 through 14 together. J1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts a donation in the amount of $500 from Fuchs Lubricants Company, 17050 Lathrop Avenue, Harvey, Illinois, 60426 for school supplies for students in need at Wilcox Primary per the attached exhibit. 2, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approve the adoption of the Honors Ensemble courses, band, and orchestra at the Twinsburg High School. The adoption was approved by the District Curriculum and Technology Committee on July 26, as sent to the board under separate cover. 3, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the compensatory hourly rate for the position of AV Technical Student Worker at $11.50 per hour. 4, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the agreement with the Educational Service Center of Cuyahoga County for a teacher of visually impaired for up to 70 hours at a rate of $91.50 per hour, and audiologists for up to 50 hours at a rate of $89.84 per hour, and an orientation/mobility trainer for up to 15 hours at a rate of $68.16 per hour for the 2017-18 school year, as sent to the board under separate cover. This is a general fund expense. Excuse me. 5, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a contract with Therapy in Motion LLC Services for the 2017-2018 school year to provide physical therapy services for students at a rate of $90 per hour, as sent to the board under separate cover. This is a general fund expense. 6, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a change in the contract with PSI Affiliates, Incorporated PSI Associates, Incorporated for the addition of 1 medical assistant for a student at Wilcox Primary School for the 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 school years at 6.25 hours per day, up to 1,125 hours annually at a rate of $24.75 per hour for the 2017-2018 school year, $25.25 per hour for the 2018 and 2020 school year, and additional service total for the 2017-2018 school year is $27,843.75. Additional service total for the 2018-2019 school year is $28,406.25. Additional service total for the 2019-2020 school year is $28,406.25, as sent to the board under separate cover. 7, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves a release of transportation for 7 students for the 2017-2018 school year from the Twinsburg City School District to the following school districts: Nordonia Hills City School District, Solon City School District, and Kinston Local School District. Excuse me, for a total of 7 students. 8, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approve the G Suite for Education Online Education Agreement for the 2017-2018 school year, as sent to the board under separate cover. There is no cost for this service. 9, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the purchase of computers from CDW-G LLC, 200 North Milwaukee Avenue, Vernon Hills, Illinois, 60061, in the amount of $24,187.30, as sent to the board under separate cover. This is a general fund expense. 10, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the contract for the 2017-2018 school year with LT Transportation, 623 South Green Road, number 3, South Euclid, Ohio, 44121, for as-needed transportation services for extracurricular events and select special education/homeless routes pursuant to the terms and conditions set forth in the contract. 11, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the contract for the 2017-2018 school year with Precious Cargo Tours, P.O. Box 23617, Chagrin Falls, Ohio 44023, for as-needed transportation services for extracurricular events and select special education/homeless routes pursuant to the terms and conditions set forth in the contract. 12, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the contract for the 2017-2018 school year with Suburban Transportation, 26 River Road, Hinckley, Ohio 44233, for as-needed transportation services for extracurricular events and select special education/homeless routes pursuant to the terms and conditions set forth in the contract. 13, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the contract for the 2017-2018 school year with Willow Transportation, 34799 Curtis Boulevard, Unit A, East Lake, Ohio 44095, for as-needed transportation services for extracurricular events and select special education and homeless routes pursuant to the terms and conditions set forth in the contract. And 14, that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves and authorizes the Ohio Schools Council for the October 2017 Cooperative School Bus Purchasing Program to advertise and receive bids on behalf of said board as per the specifications submitted for the cooperative purchase of 4 72-passenger unitized conventional school bus chassis and bodies. Do I have a motion to approve J1 through 14?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Davis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Solura. I would like to say thank you for the donation from Fuchs Lubricants Company in the amount of $500 for Wilcox Primary School. We're always happy and gracious for any and all donations to our school district. Any other comments? I'm sure there's a lot encompassed in this one, so I'm not sure if anyone wants to add any comments or explanation to that.
Mr. Curtis, basically, these are just the agreements that we need in place to begin the school year. Some are special education services. Our contract with PSI provides our nursing staff. We don't employ them ourselves. They are employed through PSI, and we've had an agreement with them for many, many years, predates me, and Dr. Rosenberger and his staff do a tremendous job in partnering with Mrs. Trapphagen primarily in bringing nursing services here to the school district, so I appreciate your consideration of that. And, of course, we have a number of contracts for your consideration this evening regarding transportation services. The reason for those is sometimes we have situations where end of the school day we have athletes that need to get where they need to go, and we have only, I think it's 55 buses, and they're all engaged in our routes and in the routes that support some of the private schools that we transport to. Well, our kids still need to get to go. So the agreement that we have with the classified union is that we could use these other transportation companies to get our athletes to where they need to be, and then our driver makes his way or her way there, meets the students, and then brings them home. This is an idea that Mr. Brunson brought on board. It has been successful, vetted through the negotiations process. It worked like a charm last year. So I appreciate your consideration of these contracts, because then we can get the agreements up and running before the first day of the school year. Of course, the Apps for Education agreement will support specifically really what's going to happen at the high school, but throughout our school district, with the Google Suite, the G Suite rather. And then the computer purchase that you have on the agenda this evening is the one that will be the purchase of the Chromebooks for professional development here as we get underway. And then down the line you will see a second and a third and so on requests for purchases for the Chromebooks as we begin to prepare for the implementation with grades 9 and 10 and then so forth, as was described this evening.
Any other questions from my colleagues or comments?
I had a question, just a quick, brief comment. Just welcoming new faces to our district and congratulating and welcoming familiar faces to new positions, and just looking forward to a great year this year.
Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes, and that passes 5-0. Moving on to miscellaneous. Any comments for miscellaneous?
I had a few. The district played host again to the second annual Police Night Out last night. Very well attended. Thanks to our safety forces for another great night. Quick shout out to Twinsburg High School seniors Kyle and Alyssa Troyer, who will be the grand marshals of the Twins Day Parade. For those that don't know, there's a royal court every year, but the grand marshals are only Twinsburg twins. My twins, that stay-at-home twins here, they did when they're like 9 or 10 years old. So it's kind of a cool honor that, again, it's only Twinsburg twins that get that honor. And one more event to put on your calendar, Relay for Life in its 17th annual year in a brand new venue, August 12th, Twinsburg Township Square from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. 11 a.m. is opening ceremonies. It's a completely revamped festival, game, family-friendly, environment-free event for the community. So come on down and have some fun and support the American Cancer Society.
And I'd just like to piggyback on the National Night Out last night. It was a great event. I think they had over 700 people attend it. It was really cool to see the firemen compete against the policemen. The firemen did win, so they had a lot of fun doing it. And always one of the big hits is the police dog actually demonstrating how they attack. And so Mayor Yates was in his garb, and the dog did attack him with the garb on. So that was very interesting. So I know a lot of planning went into that. I was on that committee working with them, and they did, everything came together nice. So thanks to the community for that. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to the Twinsburg Rotary. They did 3 weeks of a kayak run down Tinker's Creek here in Twinsburg. And actually, it was a lot of fun. This past Sunday, the football team did it. And it was really neat to see them go down. I think there was some really good team bonding that occurred, and some team building opportunities really presented themselves. So just wanted to give a shout out to the football team. I was able to work that event as well, and it was fun to see the boys out of their uniforms and really interacting. Coaches doing a nice job with the team bonding things. And I'm also looking forward to the August 12th, Relay for Life. I drew a blank. I apologize. I think it's going to be great up on the square. And as a cancer survivor myself, I think it's a great event. And I'm looking forward to the Friday night dinner that happens on Friday night.
Thank you for reminding me. I should probably give a shout out there if there are any survivors and caregivers. There is a dinner the Friday before it, sponsored by Bella Catering, I believe, is the sponsor at Twin Haven. Get a hold of me or get a hold of my wife, Relay for Life, on Facebook, Relay for Life Twinsburg. And then you also reminded me that on the city team, you're going to get the opportunity to dunk a certain mayor or dunk a particular SRO. Ron Frusciella, I hear, is getting in the dunk booth, from the city team. So there may be other dignitaries that get your quarters out and wind up your best throw. So, a lot of different events going on.
Yeah, so lots of good things going on in the community. Keep your eyes and ears open, and I'm just proud to be able to be a part of all of those things. So that's all I have.
So yeah, with that National Night Out, that was kind of the first time that the district has had that many people in view of the new stadium and the work that was done there. All I heard was compliments. The goalposts were painted; those looked fantastic. The stadium looked great. The scoreboard was amazing, and everybody that I talked to that was happy to see it is looking forward to actually seeing it on and working. So, just congratulations again. It was a big project, a lot of work done into that, and I think that was a great event to highlight kind of what we've done here, and just looking forward to seeing everything in full motion. So, thank you.
Okay. The only thing that I would, unfortunately, I was not able to be at the night out. I wish I had, hearing all these comments, whatever, that prior engagement. But I wanted to, too bad Mr. Bonnets isn't here. I wanted to acknowledge the jazz band and their performance at the Bicentennial, and the fact that Mr. Bonnets was playing with the band. So I don't know that I've ever seen him play an instrument. I'm always used to seeing him conduct and corral the kids and, introduce the pieces and all of that. So having him perform with the kids, during that time, I was able to witness that. I just wanted to say that was nice to see, and also that the band program is phenomenal. I've always felt that way, and he's done a wonderful job. So just wanted to acknowledge that.
And I was just going to say quickly, the next time we meet will be after the first day of school has been completed, so I'm looking forward to hearing from teachers, administrators, and the kids how it went. So.
Yeah, I'm still holding out. Still enjoying summer. So, okay. Well, item L, we do have a need for executive session. So the Board of Education will enter into executive session at 8:29 to discuss employment and compensation of public employees as per Board of Education Policy 0166 and a matter required to be confidential by federal law or regulations of state statute as per Board of Education Policy 0166F. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session? Mrs. Davis was first. I will go with second from Mrs. Turl Waldron. Mr. Ahill, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mr. Solera?
Yes.
Mr. Curtis?
Yes. We're into executive session. I do not anticipate that we will re-enter.